Oh, hey there. So we're fresh off the heels of another Nintendo Direct, which means we're fresh off the heels of no new information about Silksong. But hey, at least Miitopia has a horse.
You can have a horse as an ally? That sounds pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Cool. While the lack of Silksong news is disappointing, it's honestly not surprising, nor has it changed my overall hype for the game that we will eventually be getting. So instead, I'd like to talk about its predecessor. That's right, this is just another video about Hollow Knight. Okay, real quick, just to get this out of my system before diving deeper into my thoughts and feelings about the game, I just need to say that I f***ing love Hollow Knight. Like, holy shit, this is an awesome game. Okay, now with that out of my system, let's go. Hollow Knight came out in 2017, but I didn't play it until January 14th, 2019, when it was gifted to me by a friend of mine. Prior to this, I'd only seen a little bit of gameplay, but it wasn't actively on my radar yet. I didn't even know what type of game it was, and had I known that it was basically an IGAvania style game, I would have jumped on it a lot sooner than I originally did. The game takes place in the Kingdom of Hallownest, with you taking the role of the Knight, the main character from Team Cherry's 2013 Game Jam concept game, Hungry Knight. Normally this is where I would say a link as to where you can go to play the game, but unfortunately it's a Flash game, so therefore it is completely inaccessible at this current time. Regardless, let it be known that the art and character is pretty much the only thing to carry over from Hungry Knight, as the game itself was, well, it was a Game Jam game, so it wasn't great. The Knight is a small, silent little bug that at first you assume journeyed from far outside the kingdom for reasons unknown. But as you dive deeper and deeper into the dilapidated and infected ruins that is Hallownest, you discover the Knight has a much deeper connection to this place than originally thought. Gameplay-wise, it's definitely got the beats of an IGAvania. Hallownest is a vast kingdom with numerous areas to explore, such as Dirtmouth, the City of Tears, Queen's Gardens, the Hive, and many, many more. As you explore the map, you'll find yourself coming to dead ends, forcing you to go in another direction until you're able to find an upgrade that will allow you to proceed elsewhere, such as the Mantis Claws or Mothwing Cloak. Before that, all you have is your trusty old nail, the insect's version of a sword, and the ability to heal yourself using Soul, which is acquired by attacking enemies. Eventually, you'll find various magical attacks, which can also be upgraded, as well as numerous charms. These charms have a whole slew of different effects, such as quicker attacks, a longer nail, changing the property of your spells, quick healing, summoning a familiar, and more. There are also secret combinations depending on the charms you equip that change their properties even further. This is a part of the game that I really love, because depending on your playstyle, there is always a charm build out that'll suit you. Maybe you want to use magic more often. Throw on the Shaman Stone, Spell Twister, and Soul Eater. Are you a fan of brute force? Equip the Unbreakable Strength, Long Nail, and Quick Slash. Maybe you just want to get through an area of the game faster. Dash Master, Sprint Master, and the Sharp Shadow are the charms for you. There are numerous combinations depending on what it is that you want to do, whether it's getting through an area swarming with bugs or tackling one of the game's many bosses. Alongside all of this, you can also search for items to upgrade your nail, as well as learning new nail techniques from the various nail masters scattered across Hallownest. The maps, the art, the enemy designs, the boss fights, it's all poetry in motion. But what I'm saying here has already been covered to death and in much greater detail. That much I'm sure of. But this being a part of the Java series, you've most likely already heard all this elsewhere, or you've experienced the game for yourself. I could go into deeper detail about every single aspect of it, but I'd rather focus on what this game means to me and why I love it so much. I feel like I've said these words a lot in my videos, but I'll say it again. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of Castlevania, so having another game in a similar style to play certainly is going to warrant a playthrough from me. But that's not the reason I love this game. No, instead, it's much more personal. When I first played this, I was going through some hard times and I was pretty down. I was looking for ways that I could distract myself when, as I mentioned, a friend of mine gifted me Hollow Knight for the PS4, and playing it, something about it just resonated so well with me. At first, I really had no clue what I was doing. Again, I didn't know that this was an IGAvania style game. I just kind of jumped into it blind, but once that realization hit, I was hooked. Hollow Knight isn't an easy game, but that certainly doesn't mean it's unfair either. It does seem to take a bit of inspiration from Dark Souls, wherein, when you die, if you return to the spot you died and kill your shade, you'll get your soul back, as well as all the money you lost. However, if you die before you reach your shade, you'll instead create a new shade in that area, and your initial losses will be gone for good. Sound familiar? Now, had I played this before I grew to love the Dark Souls series, that kind of gameplay might have given me some anxiety, because the sheer thought of losing everything you earned when you die can be very stressful. But coming off of playing the entire Soulsborne series, I was used to this and had no issues with it. You wouldn't think that playing a challenging game when you're down yourself would be a good idea, but honestly, it was amazing. It helped pull me out of the rut I was in because of my sense of determination to overcome a boss or challenging platform section. This was echoed so perfectly by the musical themes in the game. While originally appearing to be rather bleak, once you reach the City of Tears, that all changes. Contrary to its name, I viewed this part of the game as one of the most peaceful places to be, and it's most likely entirely because of the music that plays here. There's something so peaceful and serene about it that it just makes it hard to be in a bad mood while playing. Sure, you may get crushed into a fine pace by one of these dudes, but any anger you may have had at your own inability to dodge their attacks is swept away by the comforting voice of the bug singing in the background. Hollow Knight, to me, is a game about making the most of a bad situation. Hollow Nest is being overtaken by an infection, driving most of its inhabitants violent and mad, and yet this stupid little bug is so determined to keep pushing on through it all. And that, at the time, really did resonate with me, combined with the fact that the gameplay is just that damn good and incredibly rewarding. Dying time and time and time again to a boss, only to eventually overcome it, is incredibly cathartic. But the reward in the game is even better, be it new abilities or items just past the boss or access to a brand new area. Bosses in Hollow Knight didn't feel like they were gatekeeping me from the rest of the game. Instead, I felt rewarded with the rest of the game upon defeating them. Like, I earned this, and I'm going to enjoy every inch of the new location that I just discovered. Except Deep Nest. Deep Nest. And let's not forget the best boss fight in the entire game, coming straight from the DLC, Dracula. Grimm. Oh my god, I absolutely loved this fight, both the normal version and the Nightmare King version. This fight is Count Dracula after a coke bender. At first glance, it's spastic and all over the place, and you'll probably die in a matter of seconds. But as you keep throwing your helpless little bug body into the moving freight train that is Grimm, you'll start to figure out his patterns, and find those little openings where you can attack and where you can heal. Oh, he's on the ground? Jump. Oh, he's in the air? Dash. He bursts into a bunch of tiny little bats? Heal, or go hand with damage. It's all incredibly doable and fair. Unlike the Pure Vessel, I literally hate that f***ing boss. The boss fight with Nightmare King Grimm feels like the perfect culmination of everything Hollow Knight has taught you coming together. You know he's important when he's the only other boss next to the Radiance to get the full screen title treatment when the fight starts. So you know it's gonna be real. Yeah, that's right, not even the Pure Vessel gets that. You know why? Because he's a piece of shit. Grimm will truly test your skills, and the elation I felt when I beat his Nightmare King form was awesome. When it comes to completion, I usually always go for the Platinum if I can. When a game comes out on multiple consoles, I typically always go for the Sony properties, that way I can get trophies. However, even though I've Platinumed the Souls games multiple times, mentioned that I recently Platinumed Cyber Shadow twice, and I've Platinumed Celeste, I have not gotten the Platinum in Hollow Knight. And it's entirely because of the Godhome DLC, which introduces the Pantheon of Hollow Nest, an absolutely brutal trek through practically every single boss fight in a row, with one life. Every couple of rounds you can heal and change your charms if you so wish, but there is no saving here. Even if you sit on a bench and quit out, you'll start back on this bench back in Godhome, so there's absolutely no cheesing this. You'll just have to grit your teeth and do it. This is really a multi-part challenge, as not only are you fighting souped up versions of every boss, some of which can be trickier to fight than you even realize, such as Grey Prince Zote, or the aforementioned Pure Vessel, and yes, even Nightmare King Grimm is here in his full glory. You have one life to beat all of these, only to eventually fight a souped up version of the game's final boss, the Absolute Radiance. The other challenge here is the sheer amount of time that it takes. You're looking at 30 to 40 minutes to get through the entire thing if you play carefully, and dying just once resets it all. Oh, you made it to the Absolute Radiance and died? Too bad, start over. This is probably the only part of the game that I'd really dock points for, and that's because this isn't just like a fun little side area. It's a whole ass DLC with its own actual endings. 2 endings in fact. So say you were really into the lore of Hollow Knight, but you're just not that great at these types of challenges. You're SOL from seeing actual story content, unless you look it up for yourself. To me, that's a bit much. I'm sure at some point I'll do it, but it's also really hard for me to dedicate the time to practice all these boss fights when I have a million other unplayed games to get to as well. I want to platinum Hollow Knight, and hopefully, in time, I'll get it. Other than that though, I would quite literally rate Hollow Knight a 10 out of 10. It is perfect, and I absolutely cannot wait for Silksong to arrive. If you somehow still never played this game, I highly implore you to give it a shot. It is a challenge worth taking, and most importantly, there is a lot of fun to be had there. But that's all I've got. My name's AJ, and this was just another video about Hollow Knight.